Hello, everybody. I have another guest for us today. This is my friend Jean-Luc Allaire, who I know through networking, and he is terrific. He's got some really wonderful things to share with us. Jean-Luc Allaire is a transformational coach and healer with over 30 years of experience in guiding transformative journeys. He helps us answer, what does it mean to be me? Great question. From the depths of despair and facing adversity, business failure, bankruptcy, and a battle with cancer, Jean-Luc embraced continuous learning. He transitioned from financial hardship to success in construction management. His story inspires, emphasizing the power of resilience and the lessons learned from life's trials. Now, as a certified coach and practitioner in various modalities, he shares his wisdom, transformative programs, and tools to empower others on their paths to create the life of their dreams. Welcome, Jean-Luc. What do you have to share with our audience?
Thanks, Sandra. Glad to be here, and thanks for the invitation. Not sure where to start. I do a lot of different things, but basically, the my 8-week class is called the Passionate Life. So why is that? It's because we help people find their passion, because a lot of them, as we picked up for our life, are not yours. Either parents, sibling, through teenage, or spouse. When you start dating somebody, you become somebody else because you want them to love you, and some of it stays. And then when you get to 40s, 50s, you're questioning yourself. And that's where we start, because the passion have to fuel your long-term vision. So what does it mean to be me? The question is always, okay, what's your value? Who are you? And where do you want to be, especially in 5 years or 10 years? All areas of your life. Like when I was in construction, I was working like 14-hour days, and I was working 24 days straight. So that's not a balanced life. So 7 years ago, I went through the cancer adventure. And that's when I proved to myself that everything I learned was working. And doctors still don't understand it, but it's fine. I'm very healthy. So there's a lot of different things I do, but I love to start them with figure out who they are. What does it mean to be me is the first question somebody should ask themselves. Well, you're muted, Sandra.
So, how do you help people figure out what is it that is they are? How do you help them find that? Because you're right, some people really have a hard time understanding, knowing who they are. So how do you help them get there?
Well, it's a process, right? You got to make sure we start asking questions. We start looking at your life. Where are you today? What worked for you, like that you love today? What didn't work for you? Like, what's the thing that stressed you out? What's the question you have? Where's my life going? So when do we start questioning the proper way? And we do step by step. Like, you don't jump all over. You got to kind of get going and ask the right question. And then we always start with the win, right? You got to be positive about your life, not negative. And then that's when we start figuring it out. And then that's because the passion is going to fuel your vision. But in between finding your passion and then doing your vision for the long term, we work with a lot of tools, like especially managing your thoughts and power to word, what comes out of your mouth. And that's all the basis for manifestation. But the 8-week class is more, because I'm from the corporate world originally. I don't go too spiritual at first. I stay in the intellect, to make sure, like, you can touch and have answers you can touch right now. I'm not trying to go crazy, but people start to believe, to understand that what you say is energy, what you think is energy. Like, if you think bad thoughts all the time, you get really down, right? We do the exercise where you walk around and pretend you're dying, pretend you lost everything, pretend, and everybody's walking with the hunchback, like you just, and then you say, okay, now pretend you just won $10 million, you're the richest, and then all of a sudden they stand up straight, and we know that's intellect. That's not woohoo stuff. It's like, we know the way you're thinking through your day, the way you're talking through your day affects you. So there's a lot of things in the between that we work with. So in 8 weeks, we do a great discovery of where you want to be. What is the thing that's going to drive you, that when you wake up in the morning, you jump out of bed, right? You're not in a hurry to go to bed. You want to do as much as you can. And then that's how you take away the procrastination, because when you have the stuff you love, you don't procrastinate. You get it done. You get involved, and basically that's how we figure it all out, right? We have to find emotions.
So in my experience, I might help people find what they want, but they have a hard time believing it, or they have a hard time staying with the positive. So how do you help people get unstuck? Because people get really stuck.
Yeah, so we have to be careful. Like positive is just something that goes up and down during the day, right? So it's constructive. But when you start creating the long-term vision in all areas in life, not just one area, not just your career, it's going to be your personal, which is all external around you, your spiritual, which is all internal, which we define because some people don't know the difference between religion and spiritual, and then your health. What do you do for your health? You don't have to be a gym goer, you don't have to be, but there's things that have to do for your health. So when you define these and you put them ahead, they're your anchor. So when things are going fluey and bad or whatever, you have that anchor, your vision stays attached to this. So it's more constructive because during the day, there's negative and positive and, you know, the storm of life, I call them. But having a strong anchor is what holds you. Like when walking through hell, keep walking. That's that whole song. And the thing is, if you don't know where you're going, then you'll be stuck there because you'll be going all around. But when you have an anchor, then you're anchored there, and then that's where you're going to keep walking. And then when things are hard, that's when we work with power of the word and managing your thoughts. Because we have over 100,000 thoughts a day, 80% are the same and 80% are negative. So a lot of time when you talk to yourself, if you would talk to somebody else the way you talk to yourself, nobody would talk to you because we're hardest on ourselves. We're so hard on ourselves. I remember like the way I used to talk to myself, if I would have talked to any of my friends that way, they would not have been my friends. And then we work with that. And one exercise that I do is like write down 10 things that you don't like about yourself, or you bang your head to yourself, like, and then we would say, okay, now say it to your partner. No, and nobody wanted to do it because it was too mean. Well, if you talk to yourself that way, but you can't talk to somebody, so something's wrong. So you got to change the language for yourself. So that's what we worked on. Then we start working with what other language can we have in our head. Like in the old days, we used to say change a cassette, but kids don't know today what cassette is, right? So, but you got to change the program in your head, and it's a step-by-step process. When you start to find ways to do it, like road rage. I used to be a bad road rage guy, you know, being French Canadian, and now, like, you know, with all the tools and stuff, years later, if somebody cuts me off or something goes on the road, make up stories. You know, he needs to go to the bathroom really bad, or his wife called him, she's ready for him, or to make. And then one day I had my friend with me. She's like 5 foot tall, but she's like a pit bull. And one guy cut me off really bad, almost hit me. So she was ready to put the window down and start screaming at the guy. I said, no, don't do that. Let's make some stories, like why did he have to cut me off? Why he's like in a rush? And then 20 minutes later, we're still laughing hard because now we made so many stories that didn't make sense and probably nothing to do with the guy, but now we're laughing. So as we go where we're going, instead of being enraged and talking about this guy that cut us off and now we're still laughing because now we made stories, and all the stories now they're not about him anymore. We just keep laughing. So that's one way you slowly start changing the way the program works, right? So it's a lot of work, but it's worth it.
So, audience, I want us all to be aware that what Jean-Luc is talking about is these things, these negative things, that they impact health. So Jean-Luc has recovered from cancer by doing this work. So tell us more about that and that journey.
Well, I've been working, like I said, I've been a Reiki master for 30 years. So the healing from emotion, I worked with for quite a few years. There's a book I have, it's called the Dictionary of Illness and Disease. A guy from Quebec that wrote that a long time ago, but kept upgrading it. And I used to have a knee problem, I used to have a back problem, I used to have a throat problem, and I kept working with this. So I kind of knew about it, even and I was working. So when the cancer happened, the adventure started. I looked at it and then understood why I attracted this. What was the emotion behind this, which are strong emotion, and healing the emotion, dealing with the emotion while going through the system. I did not fight the system, but I did bring in a lot of the tools, like the Reiki was part of it, the power of prayer and the food and a lot of mindset exercise, the special meditation that was attached to the stuff. So when I came out of it, because they wanted to remove, it was a bladder, they wanted to remove him, and I said no. And it's like, and they kind of looked at me funny, but no. Next step, what did we do? And then we did all the other stuff. So that was an 8-month, but because I taught about past life regression and also I had no fear of death. So with no fear, I was able to make a right decision. If I would have feared dying, I would have got my bladder removed and I would have had a bag beside me. It's like, it's not a quality of life. To me, quality before quantity. But if you have no belief system, then you're in fear. To me, I did not fear death. I did not fear dying. I didn't want to die. Like, I'm not suicidal. But I made the decision according to that. I didn't go, can we fix it? Can we do something? Well, yeah. They talk percentage, which to me didn't mean anything, because it's 5% that heal from that. And I'm in the top 5%, I guess. 7 years later, still didn't come back. I still get checked every year, but I know it's done, right? So after that many years, this won't come back. But yeah, it's a lot of work to understand all the things and work with the emotion behind it. And it's easy for a lot of people. I work with a lot of people that have different disease, and I attract a lot of people with cancer because I'm a cancer survivor and healed it. So
a really important thing that Jean-Luc is talking about is not being afraid. When people get that diagnosis, they go into this fear place. And so being in a place of empowerment and choosing to heal himself and having that certainty and not living in fear was so important. Can you tell our audience more about that?
Well, I don't know what you want me to talk exactly, but the mindset is very important. But then when you start doing spiritual work, like I grew up with a grandmother that was very religious, but there's a difference when you grow out of it. You make a difference between the religion and the spiritual, but there's a higher power. And working with past life regression and the Akashic record, it got me connected to understand that our soul is not our body. And that's a very big deal, because now I'll come back for something else. Like we're here to learn certain things. And now you take away the fear of dying. Like as a man, which is young boy in a big body, you're scared of needles and pain, right? And but going through this, like I got a lot of needles and a lot of poking, and so I kind of got over that fear. But once you get over your fear, you can make right decision, right? So to me, working with a mindset, why are we here, and what is there after, or what was there before? And you start questioning this, you won't get all the answer, but you'll start the process. And all of a sudden, some days you'll find a peace. Like when you're at peace, this is a big thing. So my first company was called Peace, like a blueprint for peace of life and a life of peace and joy. Sorry. And when you have peace and joy, I call it the top of the pyramid, where you just like everything is fine. And I remember the first time it happened to me is sitting on a Sunday, having my coffee, and all of a sudden I had that peace. Like all the bills were paid, all the kids were fine, I had a job, everything was perfect. And then life kicks you, and it's like now you fall off the pyramid, and then but because you had that experience, you said, I want this again. How do I get that peace and that joy again? And then you keep working at it, keep learning, keep understanding, and finding all the tools. So every time people work with me, I tell them all the time, don't believe a thing I tell you. Experiment. I'm going to show you things. I'm going to tell you things that you can try, some tools. Try them. They might not work for you. They might work for you. It's like I'm a construction guy, so I have a lot of tools in my garage, and my kitchen is the same way. So to me, it's a lot of tools. A lot of people can give you tools, but if they don't teach you how to use it, they'll stay in the box. Or if you learn something, it's a beautiful tool you put in the box until you need it. Not wait till things happen that are so bad that you don't know where to throw yourself because you never learned anything. And now everything is emergency because you're in real trouble. And that's why I try to get people ahead of the game.
So what is the last point you want to leave people with? Something practical that they can do?
Well, practical is managing your thoughts. Be aware of the way you're thinking, right? Because that's how you create resilience. So resilience is one of the top thing you want. So when you have a vision and things happen to you, you know you're going to get better. That's resilience. Instead of falling apart and poor me and start crying. And no, you still can cry. A lot of people cry, but they keep doing, they keep going. And to me, that's creating that resilience when you have the vision, right? So understanding your thoughts. Why am I thinking this way? If that's not working for you, how can I change it? And find the tools, find a coach. Like everybody needs coaches. Every coach has got a coach. That's how we learn, right? It's like we understand that to move ahead, we need some mentors and some coaches. And that's what people have to realize. You cannot do it on your own, because even if you read things or you watch videos, everything goes through your filters. A coach will break down the filters. That's why a coach can piss you off or challenge you, right? Or trigger you, because he's breaking down those filters you have in front of you. If you don't like a video, you just turn it off. If you read a book and you don't like what they're telling you, you put it aside. But if you have a mentor or a coach, they will get in your face. And this is how it's supposed to be. Like, why are you doing this? You've been doing this 50 times, it's not working. And then you get mad. It's like, the worst thing for people to do is change. That's the hardest thing to do, is change. And that's why we have to know the reason that we have to change. And that's why we have to look at ourselves. That's what it means to be me. What does it mean to be me? Right? My values, at my core, what am I? What do I want? Why I'm not doing what I want, or why I'm not getting what I want? That's what you got to ask yourself. And find help.
Yep. You made a really great point that when it's just me, I can avoid looking at what I don't want to look at. I go around it, I block it, I distract myself. And like Jean-Luc said, those of you watching, you need a coach. You need someone to help you, like, look at what you're not willing to look at. Really important.
It is.
So, Jean-Luc, give people a way to connect with you.
We'll have the stuff like here we can put anything, but usually my 30-minute talk, we can chat. We'll put it in your, I'll give you all the link. I'll give you a gift. There's a little booklet I have. It's 20 tips for a better life. And it's a nice picture with 20 different tips, like one of them to do meditation, your bath, your whatever, writing, your journaling. I love that little book, and I'll put it in the thing. So 30 minutes, we can have a chat. It's free. I can give you some tools to try them and see how it goes for you. And we'll have the link attached to your stuff.
Very good. So look for the links below the video to talk with Jean-Luc and really get in some of his wisdom and get that booklet he's got for you. Thank you for watching, everybody. Nice to meet Jean-Luc Allaire.
Thank you very much again, Sandra.